There are very few things that are better than the Saturday morning before Selection Sunday for a variety of reasons. One, we have the America East early this morning, which my wife went to Stony Brook. So we used to love to watch this as they finally got over the hurdle with Jamal. I think it was Jamal Warney.
Yes,
Warney.
Jamil Warney.
Steve Peichel is now down at Rutgers, of course. But today we have a very interesting game. Back with you here, the FTN Fantasy College Basketball Show. Gus Kearns to my, that you're looking at left, I guess if you look at it that way, and myself, we're here. Folks, if you have not joined FTN Fantasy, we are the place to be. Sunday, we have planned, and everything is subscriber-based, only because that we're a business. That's what we do. Gus and I are going to do a live bracket breakdown late on Sunday night. Walt Waddell is live as the brackets come out for you.
That's awesome.
That'll be there. We will have a region-by-region breakdown. Gus will have his top players. I'll have a player ranking thing for those that do a points pool. We will have everything covered.
Yes.
You're going to want to join us here. That is the place to be. The usual crew is here. Dan is here.
Ooh.
Mike, what was Withers doing last night? Yes, Dan. I'm going to tell you what he did. I believe, and I have not talked to him, I don't think he trusted Van Allen Lubin to make the second free throw. So after he missed the first one, after that incredible comeback, he said, you know what? Maybe I can help here and try to get Duke to jump in if I jump in a little quickly, just to give Lubin another shot in case he missed. The problem is he stepped on the line. That was the issue, Gus. Everybody's like, oh, he didn't mean to do it. He meant to do it. He stepped forward. I think he was worried about Lubin making the shot. It was a shame because it was a great comeback.
My 2 cents on this is, as his teammate, that play is his to make. It's not yours to make standing, waiting for the rebound. You have to allow your teammate to make that play and tie the game up. It's not on you to go make a miraculous hustle play. It's on you to make sure that you do everything in your power to make sure that your teammate can tie the game up.
Yeah, and support him. That's what it is. But it's a rough loss there, but great comeback. And I will tell you, I'm not sure, Gus, that they're in. I don't think you can be in at 1-11. 1-11 in squad one. And that same goes for my Xavier team, who I wanted to see get in. That was really a playing game. The Marquette game was a playing game.
Yeah.
If either team, I can't see North Carolina getting hot. They've just been struggling way too much. I know RJ Davis is great, but they're so weak in the front court. Ian Jackson has just disappeared. But I could see Xavier getting hot, but I don't think they're in. I don't think teams that are 1-10 against quad one should be in. I don't. I can't see that.
There are better options and better arguments options to be made. Yeah.
Sure. Daryl in the house, great to see you. Tommy B, great to see you. Jameson, good luck on the surgery, bud. I think you had scheduled for this week because you're very smart. Well done, my friend.
Yeah.
And Jason Graham, less than 36 hours. We appreciate it. All right. As always, guys, we will go through a couple games, and then we'll hop over to the Discord and FTN. Will you join us there? Break it down. I had a ton of picks in. Gus is scalding hot on props. Almost had a sweep last night. He has put his picks in as well, so we are ready to go. Let's go through a couple of these, and I will start with the Ivy Madness. Look, Yale has been the best team in the conference the entire year. Princeton was supposed to be better, but they haven't been. And they've ended the season, Brown away, lost. Yale away, smoked. Dartmouth home, lost. Cornell away, lost. They've had a long break. I don't think that helps Princeton. I don't think a team that has struggled all year is going to be better off the break. Their defensive numbers are atrocious. Yale is a legit sleeper that can get in the tournament. This is when they're good. James Jones does a great job. They beat Auburn last year. Yes, I know Chad Baker-Mazara was out, but this team is solid. They brought players back from last year. Yes, they don't have Danny Wolf was at Michigan, but they have Bezmang. They have Poulikitis. I don't see it, Gus. The only loss they had since December 21st was Harvard away, which is a bit of a rivalry game. I get that this is a rivalry, but this is now the conference tournament. I don't see it.
I'm going to go the other way.
Really?
I am. I think the break is good. We saw that maybe Kansas, when they were playing so poorly, they really needed time away from each other. Maybe this Princeton team needed a little time away from each other, regroup, hit the reset button. We've said on the show a number of times, our sport is amazing because it allows different starting lines and it allows teams and programs to restart their season, whether it be in the conference tournament or next, tomorrow in March Madness. Princeton has won close games this season in the non-conference. Maybe they can revisit that, and that number is a little bit too big. I'll go the other way here.
Well, I get it because certainly Xavier Lee and Caden Pierce, I mean, you have those two, you have a chance.
Yes.
My struggles are I have not seen all year. So pick your side, folks. I'm going to Yale minus 7.5. Gus is taking the 7.5. The Maine Black Bears have never been to the NCAA tournament in their entire career. I was on Maine earlier this year. Love everything about Chris Markwood. They struggled. However, after taking out Vermont, beating UMass Lowell twice in a row, I think this is a very close game. I know it's Bryant. I know they're going to pack the house tonight. I know Bryant has played very well. Bryant beat Maine at home by 26, then beat Maine away by 8. But Markwood is a really good coach. Things slow down here. This is a lot of points. I like Maine. I like Bryant's offense. I do. I don't like their defense, and they're terrible. With the other issue that I struggle with here is they're very flammable. They're very up and down. They don't force a lot of turnovers. They play at a fast pace. I get the home court advantage, but I think they can hang around, Gus. That's what
I think they hang around too. I wouldn't be surprised if Bryant and their, high major transfers that have transferred down, if they settle for those contested 2-point jumpers and contested 3-point jumpers, and then you see Maine within 2 or with a lead because of those settles on offense, and maybe in the second half they can drive to the basket and change that outlook. But I can totally see Maine forcing them into some contested jump shots.
VCU is wonderful.
Yeah.
They're outstanding, but I have come around on Brian. I come around on Loyola Chicago. I like to thank you for your guidance here on Loyola Chicago. The one thing that can really mess up an upset or keep a game close is dynamic wing players who attack the basket. You saw it last night with Jemiah Neal, who single-handedly took the game over from UConn. They could not stop him. I like the wing players here in D. Watson and Jaden Lawson and players like that, Sheldon Edwards, who can attack the basket, who are long, who can defend. That's how the upsets happen. Players who can get their own shot. And I think that's what we have in Loyola Chicago. VCU is amazing. They're wonderful. When they make their shots, it's good night. A lot of points, Gus. That's all.
It's a lot of points, but maybe it's disguising. It seems this line and this game feel eerily similar to that George Mason line that was up at 10 or 10.5 against VCU, and then ended up being a 25-point win for VCU. So I think I'm going to stay away from this game, but if I were leaning one way or the other, I might say, this feels pretty familiar to that George Mason game. Maybe it ends up being the same result with a VCU double-digit win.
I think VCU is in. I do. They are 3-1 in quad one games. They beat Colorado State on a neutral. They won at Dayton. They won at St. Joe's. Only bad loss was Seton Hall. That was the only bad loss was on a neutral back in November. I do think they're in, but I think this would seal it. Big game here, close one. Gus and I are on opposite sides of this one. Buddy, I will let you go first here with the Spartans.
I don't think Wisconsin is that great defensively. I don't think Wisconsin is dynamic offensively. Tanji has been amazing. You could argue that he's somewhere on an All-America team, first, second, or third. I'm okay. I will listen to that argument. I just don't think that he's going to get the opportunities and be the efficient scorer that Wisconsin needs him to be against Michigan State. And we've talked a little bit about it on the show. I absolutely adore Jace Richardson. I think, the incline, we are witnessing him getting better every game, every half, every possession. And I think they have a guy. Tanji kind of thinks, or maybe wishes, or Wisconsin fans wish that he was that guy, but I think Jace is the guy. I think Wisconsin, a little bit inefficient offensively, not great defensively, numbers small enough where I like Michigan State.
Yeah, and listen, I have been buried by Michigan State constantly here. Tom Izzo is the coach of the year to me, and I love Rick Pitino, but it is Tom Izzo. This team does not have talent. If you want to say, when I say talent, I mean in comparison to the other elite teams, the Auburns, the Tennessees, those type of teams, the athleticism is not there. Jace Richardson has been wonderful.
Excellent.
They have players who make clutch shots when they need them. Trey Hollerman's been great. Frankie Fiddler, Jackson Kohler, even Cohen Carr. I get it. He's 4 points. It's a very impressive 4 points. I get it. But they are so well coached. They're incredibly well coached. at some point, I just can't see them beating elite teams. Now, your point is valid. Is Wisconsin an elite team? I get it. But I do think this is a close game. It is a close matchup. They played away at Michigan State and lost 71-62, but that's the only time they played this year. Wisconsin just destroyed UCLA, who is a superior defensive team, and crushed them. I think Michigan State has a high floor. I don't think they get upset early in the tournament at all because they are playing that well and they have great chemistry and cohesion, and Richardson is coming into his own. All of that is true. I don't see them making a deep run, and I'm waiting for the slide. And Michigan State has won 8 straight games. Their last loss was at home to Indiana, an odd one, no doubt.
Right.
But I think Wisconsin is good enough to get there. I like the 3.5. I don't think it'll be around much longer, but I will take Wisconsin plus the 3.5. But I get it. I get it. Michigan State has been so great this year. I can't argue.
Subscribers, listeners, pick your side.
Yeah, for
pick
sure.
Your side.
Listen, Frank Brank's models are cooking, and he had the conference tournaments, and one of them was Tennessee at plus 600.
Yep.
This is the spot. Tennessee is not making the Final Four. If they can't make it with Dalton Knecht last year, and listen, Rick Barnes, kudos to him. He runs a great program. He selects the certain type of player that's going to be disciplined and unselfish, and that is all you can ask for. They need somebody to get hot. But they went to Auburn, and they almost beat Auburn in Auburn when Auburn was on absolute fire.
Correct.
Rick Barnes, and for those that don't know, we will go through it. Barnes beats Pearl. Pearl, what is it, Gus? I forget what it is.
It's Barnes beats Pearl. Pearl beats Calipari. Calipari beats Barnes.
But I think Barnes owns Calipari. He gets nervous. I don't know. Anyway, the point is the circle of life here. I think Tennessee. I will point out, Gus, Auburn has not been playing great the second half of the year. Here are their games. They played Texas A&M away and lost. They played Alabama and lost. They played Mississippi. It was close. They lost at home to Florida. They beat Tennessee at home, but just by 2. Right. They're kind of losing a little bit of steam to me. I think Barnes and Tennessee can pull the upset. I like that Frank Brank's models have Tennessee as had one of the best futures. I'm taking the Volunteers here. I know it's Chaz Lanier dependent, and I know Chaz Lanier had a great game last game, so probably he's not going to play well today. I get it. But I do think the public's going to be on Auburn here, and I think Barnes has the right schematic. They're not going to go to the Final Four, but they could win the SEC tournament.
Absolutely. One of the things that we've talked about on the show, and you referenced a number of different times, Mike, is the law of efforts. Auburn has put out so many efforts, and the result of those efforts is arguably being the overall number 1 seed tomorrow when the brackets are released. Maybe this isn't the place for that one final effort. Maybe they charge up and go into March. So I get what you're saying there. And plus, like, Tennessee is going to hang around. If you're going to give them that many points, it's not like they're going anywhere. So there are a couple of different factors in this game that, speak to your pick here. And I think the law of efforts, I think the number of points, and I think you mentioned specifically and accurately the schematic that Barnes will put out.
Joey Wright, 5-0, big night. Joey, you're the man. Congratulations. Al wants to know, I'm still welcome in East Lansing. Al, one of my closest friend's son is a junior at Michigan.
Correct.
So at Michigan
Shout
State.
out, Max.
So I've been ridiculed by him constantly.
that text chain has gotten spicy.
Yeah, and I keep losing.
Right.
Roy, let's have a day. Of course, Roy. All right, 2 more. We'll get you out of here. Then we're going over Discord.
Yeah.
Be careful with this one. I do think that it's possible that George Mason has righted the ship. George Mason was absolutely dominant. Tony Skinn, great coach. Then they struggled in the middle of the season, but it's possible that they got their mojo back and they could be rolling here. But the reason I am taking George Mason in this matchup is because there are teams that come across my eye throughout the year, and one of them was St. Joe's.
Right.
George Mason was 21-5, 12-1 in the A-10. It was over. Lost away at VCU, the game you mentioned, Gus. Lost to Duquesne away by 17. That's brutal.
That one's
barely
tough.
beat Fordham at home, barely beat LaSalle at home, barely beat Richmond away, but they pulled away in the second half against G-Dub. I was on G-Dub there, and they were fantastic in the second half, putting up 42 points. They outscored them 42-23. That was big. But St. Joe's has that sort of mix that I saw earlier this year. I saw them against Texas.
Right.
I saw them against Texas Tech. Remember, they beat Texas Tech on a neutral. They have that sort of mix. They're good defensively. They're good on the boards. They're great inside 2-point range. Eric Reynolds can light it up.
He can.
Fleming is tough. They have a weird type of team here. I like St. Joe's, but I think you have to proceed with caution here.
Fleming's the key. Fleming's played a little bit below par the last 2 to 3 games. If he can revisit like his form from the midseason where he was a threat for a double-double any evening, he's kind of like JT Toppin light. He can stretch the floor. He can rebound the ball. He can score it efficiently. He's on NBA draft boards in the first round, depending on where you look. So if he can play and revisit that form that he had midseason, then I like St. Joe's here as well. Fleming's the key.
And the last one here, guys, the Johnnies are cutting the nets down tonight.
Yep,
Creighton, boy, what a job they've done after losing Pop Isaacs, Gus. I mean,
unbelievable.
You look at that team. Jemiah Neal has become like a legit first-team All-Big East player.
Yep.
Stephen Ashworth never misses threes. And it's amazing, Gus. You would think they could guard them because when you're guarding them 101, you know they're going to the step back. They're not going to the basket. They very rarely go to the basket, but Ashworth continues to get open because they know how to use screens well. Kalkbrenner is annoying inside. I think he has trouble with Zuby. I think Zuby's at a different level right now. RJ Lewis should play well. Davon Smith is ready to roll to annoy Ashworth a litwe bit. I think it's a St. John's coronation tonight. I don't see it.
I agree. When you have that type of energy in the building that hasn't been there, we when we were at Big East Media Day, we saw that RJ Lewis referenced that Walter Berry was holding on to the award for 40 years. So we're talking 40 years of pent-up energy that's going to be in that building for this championship game. And the other part, too, St. John's just has too many wings. They have too many wings that Creighton are going to have to account for that are going to drive to the basket. And I know we're going to talk about Creighton not fouling the whole thing. I get it. And Kalkbrenner's a superior rim protector. I love Kalkbrenner. I think he's one of the best players in the nation. It's not a good matchup. I think another number to look at in this one is the under. So if we take a look at like what the totals might be, if you can get kind of a higher total and maybe pull an under there, I think this might be one of those slow down games, kind of like that game at Creighton. If you remember back mid-season, that game was in the 50s, and it was like they were a drag out, knockdown fight. So that might be something else to pay attention to here as well, along with St. John's at that number. Folks,
we will be back on Sunday night. Now, that's for subscribers only, so if you're in the Discord, we will post the unlisted link for everyone there. By the way, Gus, I can't think of a better way to end the show than this.
Oh.
Quantitative. Just
quantitative. Okay.
He's going to continue to speak it to me. Yeah, I love quantitative. You'll see in the Discord quantitative.
Okay,
I hope to see you there, my friend. Maurice, appreciate it. Good picks today. Louisville over Duke is the move. I agree with you on that one, Maurice. We are out of here, guys. Heading over to Discord. Join us there Sunday night. Best time of year. Cannot wait. We'll see you there. FTN.
Bless you. Did you get out of there before the sneeze?
Nope.